Hello students, welcome back to Notebook. Do you know that Eridu, the earliest city built in Mesopotamia, is now considered the oldest city in the world? Eridu was the southernmost of a group of Sumerian cities which grew around temples. The buildings in Eridu were made of mud brick and they were built on top of one another. The first cities appeared in Mesopotamia around 4000 to 3500 BC. Major Mesopotamian cities are Baghdad, Babylon, Ur, and Nippur. Babylon was the capital of Mesopotamia. Mesopotamian civilization is now known for its rich urban life, vast and rich body of literature, mathematics, and astronomy. The writing system of Mesopotamia spread to kingdoms in eastern Mediterranean, northern Syria, and Turkey after 2000 BCE. The people of all these kingdoms began using the language and script of Mesopotamia. What were the different languages used by the early Mesopotamians who belonged to different time periods? The first known language of the land was Sumerian, which was gradually replaced by Akkadian around 2400 BCE. Akkadian flourished till Alexander's time, though some regional influences can be found in the language. From 1400 BCE, Aramaic, a language similar to Hebrew, began to be spoken. It is still spoken in parts of Iraq. The first cities appeared in southern Mesopotamia, which was a desert. The region did not have sufficient rainfall to grow crops, but agriculture in southern Mesopotamia was most productive. How was this possible? Agriculture flourished in this region because of the Tigris and the Euphrates, which came down from the northern mountains and deposited loads of silt or fine mud on the plains. The water of the Euphrates flowed in small channels after the Euphrates entered the desert land. The channels functioned as irrigation canals and supplied water to the fields of barley, wheat, peas, or lentils. Agriculture first emerged in Mesopotamia between 7000 and 6000 BCE. Fish was available in the rivers, and the date palms yielded fruits in summer. On the northeastern plains and mountain slopes, people found herding more profitable than agriculture. Sheep and goats fed on the grass and the low shrubs which grew on the stretches of upland known as steppes. These helped the herders produce meat, milk, and wool in abundance. Mesopotamia hence formed part of the Fertile Crescent, or rich food-growing stretch of land between the Tigris and the Euphrates rivers. The rivers flowed from north to south for thousands of miles before flowing into the Persian Gulf. Today, Mesopotamia includes all land between the Tigris and the Euphrates, including parts of Syria, most of Iraq, and southeastern Turkey, and parts of southwestern Iran. The neighboring steppes to the west of the Euphrates and the western part of the Zagros Mountains are also considered part of Mesopotamia. Till now, we've talked about herding and agriculture in the Mesopotamian countryside. Herders and farmers do not form urban communities. When an area develops an economy outside the spheres of food production, it becomes urbanized. The inhabitants of the cities or an urban society depends on the villages for food supply and artisanal work. In an urban society, there is proper division of labor and coordination of different activities. Cities are marked by organized trade, manufacture, and storage of food and other goods. Cities have distinct hierarchies, and the city dwellers often keep written records of work and life in the city. Mesopotamia had abundant food resources, but it lacked minerals, stones, and good quality wood. The ancient and Mesopotamians traded their abundant textiles and farm products for wood, copper, tin, gold, silver, shell, and various stones from Turkey and Iran, or from places across the Persian Gulf. Trade and commerce flourished in ancient Mesopotamia, starting from the southern part because of smooth transportation. Apart from animal-drawn carts, the canals and natural channels of ancient Mesopotamia acted as routes of transport between large and small settlements. Thus, Mesopotamia became urbanized thanks to the water routes and good transport system. We will now look at how writing developed in Mesopotamia. We can find the link between trade and writing in the Sumerian epic poem written about Enmerkar, one of the earliest rulers of the famous Mesopotamian city, Uruk. Enmerkar had organized the first trade in Sumer. The poem describing Enmerkar and praising his works tell us the ancient Mesopotamians stored information and records of transactions and conveyed messages through writing. They understood that kingship had organized trade and writing. Writing was associated with supremacy in ancient Mesopotamian culture. Very few people were literate because learning the hundreds of signs was difficult. Many of the signs used in the Mesopotamian script were complex. Have a look at these signs. The Mesopotamians carved their picture signs like ox, fish, grain, boat, and numbers on clay tablets, which were 3.5 centimeters or less in height. They used sharp edges of reeds to press wedge-shaped or cuneiform signs. There were 5,000 lists of oxen, fish, bread, loaves, and other goods which were brought into or distributed from the temples of Uruk. Clay tablets could not be reused because once the surface of the tablet had dried, signs could not be pressed onto it anymore. So clay tablets have been recovered in huge numbers from the Mesopotamian sites. These give us a wealth of information about Mesopotamian culture. By 2600 BCE, the language of Mesopotamia became Sumerian. Writings recorded legal transfers of land, dictionaries, the achievements of kings, and changes in laws of the land. By 2400 BCE, the Akkadian language replaced the Sumerian language. Mastering the system of writing in ancient Mesopotamia was a huge achievement. The scribes had to learn hundreds of signs. Besides, these signs did not convey or represent single consonants or vowels like I and U of the English alphabet. The signs represented syllable sounds like in, put, or la. We know of the rotation of the moon around the earth, but the diurnal cycle and the division of the year, months, and days from the Mesopotamians. They left a great legacy in the fields of astronomy and mathematics. There were records of the date and time of solar and lunar eclipses, and positions of stars and constellations in the night sky as observed by the Mesopotamians. Tablets with multiplication and division tables, square and square root tables and tables of compound interest have been found at Mesopotamian sites. These date back to 1800 BCE. Sexagesimal is a numerical system with 60 as its base. The system was first used by the ancient Sumerians in the 3rd millennium BC. It was then adopted by the ancient Babylonians. It is still used for measuring time, angles, and geographic coordinates. Historians have found evidence of schools and libraries in ancient Mesopotamia. The students in these schools read and copied earlier written tablets and learned the system of writing and the sciences. They did not train to merely become scribes or record keepers for the administration, but become scholars and intellectuals. We'll find out more about the process of urbanization and about life in ancient southern Mesopotamia in our next video. Till then, think of the Sumerian script and compare it with other ancient scripts of the world. What differences and similarities do you find? See you soon in our other videos. Till then, keep learning.